Everybody Loves Cookies by Neon Zangetsu, Chapter 9, Apples and Trees. How busy were you? More than you think, less than you'd expect. A strange discussion. Apples and trees. Roman Torchwick had never been one for regret before. To be fair, when you are a master thief, excuse me, get my title right, a renowned gentleman thief and former huntsman wanted all over Vale, thank you very much. You really didn't have time for petty feelings like regret or remorse. If he'd stopped to feel shame for every person he hurt in his storied career, he would have turned himself in a long time ago. But this, yeah, he regretted this, all of it, every damn bit of it. Roman, Roman, Roman. A pair of strangely familiar blue eyes drilled into him across the table, their owner frowning at him like a child with one hand caught in a cookie jar. I'm very disappointed in you. At his side, Neo tentatively raised a hand in innocent inquiry. You stay put, missy. The baker stabbed his finger at her, causing the petite girl to flinch. You've been just as bad. Frankly, Torchwick was pretty damn disappointed in himself right now. Really blowing up a bakery in the middle of the night and getting caught to boot. He wasn't a damn terrorist. He lived by a code, or rather he used to. Morals never lasted long when someone like Cinderfall had you by the balls. Just look at me now, Mum, he thought bitterly to himself. I'm a monster, just like you. Like it or not, he hadn't had much say in the matter. He still didn't. When you were recruited by Cinder, guilt quickly becomes secondary. Survival, yeah, that shit's primary. A broad like her gives you two choices, obey or die. Those were your only options. You couldn't fight. He tried in the beginning, and she'd beaten him and Neo handedly, leaving them within an inch of death. Running wasn't an option either. Ville was his home, his turf, his territory. His name meant something here. To leave that behind? Nope, couldn't do that. Where people like Cinder were concerned, you served long enough until you could find a way out from her thumb, or they disposed of you. So when the order came down to blow up some random ass bakery he'd never been to, yeah, he didn't like the idea of taking lives, but he liked dying even less. It should have been a quick in and out. They were here to set an example by destroying a popular bakery in Vale. Little Miss Firebrand aimed to sow discontent and negativity in Vale. Such had been the plan, but plans seldom survive contact with the enemy. This one had barely made it through the front door before the bloody bitch trashed it. Now he knew better. This was a test, or at least it had been. Roman was pretty damn sure they'd failed. Rather, he and Neo had been set up to fail in the first place. Blasted Baker had coated on far too fast for his liking, almost like he knew this would happen. Well, at least little Miss Perfect Redhead here wasn't here to glare at him anymore. Pyronikos had been ushered home under the watchful eyes of what he could only assume was a clone semblance of some sort, and wouldn't she have quite a story to tell come tomorrow? But that was neither here nor there. Now Roman was. I suppose I could ask you what you stood to gain from blowing up my bakery? His captor sighed. But I already know the answer. You didn't do this of your own accord. Someone put you up to it. Roman's jaw snapped shut with an audible click. No idea what you're talking about. Naruto's fist slammed down on the table, rattling glasses and plates alike. The blue eyes blazed red. Don't lie to me, young man. Killing intent. There could be any other word for it. Fear froze Roman's tongue to the roof of his mouth and stilled any semblance of speech, as if a thunderbolt had shot down from the heavens and paralyzed him where he sat. So too did he find himself unable to move, every muscle clamped down, refusing to so much as twitch from fear of earning the ire of the being before him. Death! He was looking into the eyes of death itself, the Grim Reaper reborn, an abyss without end, a force of nature that would roll right over him at the slightest provocation. Nathan snorted angrily and turned his gaze elsewhere. Neo, was it? The illusionist stiffened under those eerie slitted eyes, but the baker knew no mercy. Come here. Much to Roman's chagrin, I scooted over and hopped onto the blonde's right knee, eliciting a surprised grunt from him and a scowl from his companion. Roman wanted to applaud. Clever girl, playing the semantic angel as she was. One hand came down on the slim girl's shoulders to steady her, and sure enough, Naruto's expression softened. Wait, she was pretending, right? Right. Tell me, the one who ordered you to do this, does her name start with a C and end with an R by any chance? When the little psycho dithered, lower limpo trembling, he gave her a light tap. Don't be afraid. I won't hold it against you. We'll protect you. Speak for yourself, Raven groused. Her gaze met Roman's, and with a nod, Neo crumbled like a house of cards. Not for herself, but for him. Damn it, Neo. So this was Cinder's handiwork then. Good girl. Naruto patted her head. Now then, Roman, enough about this awful business. Tell me about your mother, he continued. This is theory I'd like to confirm. Yeah, not going to happen, but the thief's retort became a gurgle as Omen settled against his throat, its tapper tip tickling the ridge of his Adam's apple. A thin line of blood sliced down his neck to stain his coat a garnish shade of red. Blast it! Total loss, that. Bloodstains were impossible to wash out. He'd have to throw it away. He wasn't asking, you wretch. All right. His hand came up, palm sprayed. Let's not be hasty here. I'm no good to you, dead. Raven, put the sword down. Naruto raised a hand to forestall an argument before Neo could move. We don't do that here. Not anymore. Outside then, Raven countered, jerking her head towards the door. The motion sent her ebony hair swaying. A silent shiver shook Roman's soul as she continued. We'll dump the bodies in the river and make love down the waterfall. It'll be like the old days. Raven. Fine. She swept her blade aside and sheathed it in a crimson flourish. Spoil sport. Roman slumped back in his seat with a gasp, massaging his throat. Too close. He'd nearly lost his head there. Neo hopped out of Naruto's lap and hasted to his side. She shot a playful glare over her shoulder at Raven. Uncowed by the burning red eyes that drilled her way, Torchwick didn't have the courage to meet her gaze. Not after that little display. What was this? The good cop, bad cop routine? Nah, probably not. Cops didn't act like this. Hell, bloody criminals didn't put this kind of shit. Yeah, he croaked. I'm fine. Just let it go. Roman, buddy, pal. Almost immediately, Naruto pinned him with his gaze once more. Behave yourself. You cannot begin to comprehend the amount of fucks my wife does not give about you right now. Uh, Zero? Raven's reaction proved more vocal. Wife? Well, yeah. The blinked. He blinked back at her. Why the weird look? Of course I'm gonna put a ring on it. Anyway, her feelings for you. He continued, seemingly seeking Torchwick's gaze once more. Zero. Might wanna watch your words. Less than zero, the bloody woman hissed, right down into the negative. So let's not anger her, yeah? His captor hummed. She'd kill them both without so much as a second thought. Blondie here was the only one stopping her. He was beginning to see why Cinder was so interested in these two. They weren't normal. Their casual discussion of murder and screwing aside, they were strong, stronger than her possibly. Did she want to recruit them? Was that her aim? More and more it felt like she'd hung him and Neil out to dry. The bitch. They were a meal for Blondie and the bloody woman. So, you don't want to talk about your mother, huh? Said Blonde, swung one leg up onto the table and crossed it with the other. That's all right. I can imagine why you'd be reluctant to do so. He stippled his fingers, carefully placing his chin atop them. I've got more than enough words for the both of us. He leaned forward and shattered Roman's world. Your mother was Saffron Torchwick. Try as he might, the gentleman thief couldn't quite contain the twitch that followed. She was a murderer, assassin, killer for hire, but I'm sure you already know this. Roman's face twitched again, and the baker's grin grew to shade-eating proportions. Struck a nerve, have I? Your mother was good at that, among other things. Bull! How did this punk know his mum? He couldn't possibly be. Nah, there was just no way. His vision tunneled, blind to Neo, Raven, everything. Sapphire was an exceptional woman as he looked on. The Jinchuriki leaned back in his seat, wood creaking as he did so. Fierce, strong, and a right pain in the ass to fight. She knew what she wanted, when she wanted it, how she wanted it, and woe to ye if you got in her way. Something dangerously akin to nostalgia flitted across his whiskered visage. She was possessed of a singular purpose, commitment personified. A pause. You have more than just her name, Roman. You have her eyes, if not necessarily her hair, but that surely personality. That's all her. Roman blinked. Wait,
Why was he talking like Mom was dead? Yet he couldn't help but listen, spellbound as he was. When we first met, she tried to kill me. A wistful look stole over his captor's face, ambushed me in my bed in the middle of the night, said I was on her list. Hardest fight of my life. Her semblance completely erases her presence and leaves her invisible, you see, making her one of the few people I can't actively sense or see, much less predict. Barely got out of there alive. Shame she didn't kill you, Roman bit out. Really? The blonde brow rose. If she had, you wouldn't have been born. Ha! That's rich. The thief slapped his knee. For a second there, it sounded like you said, unlikely as it may sound, I did, not to cut him off at the pass before he could say it. I am your father. Did he just? Roman's face turned a chalk white as his heart skipped 3 beats. Through the windows though the windows were closed and the bakery sealed, he felt a frigid breeze all the same. His world derailed. The train of his thoughts ran headlong off the tracks, pitched into the ground, and perished in the fiery explosion. There were no survivors. A strange buzzing sound rang in his ears, deafening him to all else. Green eyes fluttered shut and open in a rapid blink. His mind rebooted, shut down, rebooted again. No, he swallowed at last, the word sticking in his throat. No, no, that's not true. That's impossible. My old man was a drunk and a deadbeat. He left before I was born. Is that what Saf told you? All he received was a pitying shake of the head. She never was a very good liar. No. He slammed his feet and stumbled back. You're lying. You, not her. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. No, he snarled. I don't believe you. I don't care what you believe. Naruto caught him and hauled him back into a chair, heedless of his protests. Now sit down. You're not going anywhere until we've finished our business here. Neil inhaled soundlessly through her teeth. At first, Roman thought she might be laughing at him, but then she looked at him, back to Naruto, back to him again, to Naruto once more. A series of quick gestures followed. At any other time, Roman might have hushed her. Now he saw what she saw. He wished he didn't. It was there in the stubborn set of his jaw, the shape of his eyes and nose. Naruto wasn't anywhere near as pale, but there was certainly something there. Ignored? His mind wailed. Reject it? Now that you say it, definitely some resemblance, Raven sulked with a shrug. Mascara doesn't do much to hide it. Why is he even wearing it? So he's got a flair for fashion? Naruto offered one of his own. Let him flaunt what he wants. Most of my kids are redheads anyway. If anything, that proves my point. One isn't meh. He waved quickly. There's always an exception to the rule. No, no, no. They weren't having this conversation. May I finish my story while you have a mental breakdown? Roman gurgled wordlessly. Naruto mistook it for acceptance and continued. Saf was a killer with a code. I liked that. She didn't like me at first, seeing as I ruined her perfect record and all. But eventually we got past that. One thing led to another, and we decided to team up. We cut the bloody path through the underworld, just the two of us. His arms spread wide, grasping for the ceiling as though to pierce through it and reach the starry sky above. I could tell you so many stories about her. She dragged me all around the world, from Vale to Mistral to Atlas, even Vacuole. We were feared, respected even. Best 2 years of my life. A bitter laugh tumbled out of him. She wanted kids, you know. We kept trying for the longest time. Raven beat him to the question. What happened? Work happened. Blue eyes flicked up to meet red. I thought we were going too far. Saf didn't. She took a jab in Atlas without me and vanished. Gone. 10 fingers clicked together in a snap. Just like that. His gaze swiveled back to Roman. She must have had you some time since then. Now she must have passed away too, because I know no son of hers would act like this. Blue eyes narrowed to razor-thin slits upon him. Sapphire killed because it was all she knew how to do, because she wanted a better life for any kid she might have had. She's not dead, you bastard! Rage roared in Roman's veins, turning his world red. Stop acting like she is. One could hear a pin drop in the ensuing silence. For crying out loud, Raven flung up her arms. Not another one! Huh? For the first time since they'd met, Naruto looked to be at a loss for words. What do you mean she's not dead? Ha! A small vindictive part of Roman crowd at the naked disbelief now flashing across the blonde's face, and all it entailed. Who was denying now? She's gotta be dead. I couldn't find her. I spent months looking with good, well, good for him. Unfortunately, any glee he might have felt was overshadowed by all this undefined, unyielding rage. You no good, two-bit bastard! Torchwick lurched again, circled the table, grabbed a fistful of the blonde's jacket, and yanked him forward. She's in a coma. She's been like that for the last 5 years. She was, I mean, she is. Sympathy flitted across his face. I'm sorry, I didn't know. What happened? Roman's knee slammed into his side. None of your damn business. Naruto slumped. Sapphire was a woman of few words, but she had her moments. Here, the man who might or may not have been his father pulled a broken silver pendant from within his shirt and held it out to him. Take a look at this. She gave it to me as a token to remember her by. Roman scowled at it, noticing the clean break in the otherwise polished metal. It's one of those old amulets, the kind that were made to split in half. Don't suppose you know where the other is? It would go a long way to confirm my story. Nope, he snarled. Don't know a damn thing. He did. Mom had given it to him years ago before the wasting disease got her. He was wearing it right now. It had a torn picture of it inside. He'd not thought much on it then, but now, reflexively, he slammed a hand over his jacket to hide it. Neil saw it, latched onto his arm with the firm expression. She tugged at it instantly. Roman realized her intention at once and tried to fight her off, to no avail. For all her slight size, the little devil overpowered him and thrust a hand down his shirt, fingers grasping for the bit of jewelry he wore. Don't you dare! Her forehead smacked against his, momentarily stunning him. Neo used the opportunity to pry the necklace loose and flung it at Naruto, who in turn slotted it against its twin. The pieces fit perfectly. Raven leaned in to look at, only to jerk back with a start. Bugger me, she hissed. You weren't kidding. Neo, who hopped onto her shoulder and whistled wordlessly before being shaken off. Do you believe now? Naruto held up the now open pendant before him, leaving it dangling from its silver chain. Roman saw it well enough. Moreover, he saw the picture within, the other half of the once torn photograph. His mother he recognized well enough, her strictly curly blue hair just as her namesake, contrasting pleasantly with a pale face and dirty green eyes. There was a man stood beside her, poking her cheek, trying to draw a smile from his mum. She didn't look much pleased with him, though she leaned against him regardless. And the man beside her, it was undoubtedly the one before him now, armed to the teeth and wearing clothes he didn't recognize, but him regardless. All the fight bled out of Torchwick. He fell to his knees, a puppet with its strings severed. He felt faint. If Neo hadn't been there to catch him, he might have passed out on the spot. Even then, he could barely think straight. You really are. And now I feel like a shitty parent again. The baker scratched the back of his head with a rueful chuckle. Sorry about that. You want to get out? Hell no! Roman slapped his hand away. I'm too old for that. Such hurtful words. All right then. Here's what we're going to do. Naruto pulled himself out of his feet, staring down at him intently. I'm going to pretend tonight's little incident never happened. There came a pause as he let his words sink in before he continued. And in return, you're going to tell me what hospital Saf's been holed up in. I'm going there tomorrow during visiting hours to figure out what's wrong with her. And once I do, Roman, a finger stabbed into his chest, grating painfully against his ribs. You're going to get down on your knees and beg for forgiveness. Do you understand? Roman managed a stiff nod. He could do nothing else. His mind was too broken to do anything else. Also, you're ours now. Raven stepped up beside him with resounding finality. No more of this blowing up bakeries business. We own you. Why did he have a bad feeling about this? So you want us to keep working for that broad or no? Her at last, her smile turned cruel. We want you to ruin her from the inside out. She'll kill you, you know that? Ha! Naruto and Raven shared a look. The latter laughed. That's cute. Don't worry about Cinder, the former continued. Just keep going as you have been. All we're asking is for you to feed us information as you go. She'll slip up sooner or later, and when she does, bam! Naruto slapped a fist into one palm. Game over. Neo stood up straight and snapped off a sharp salute. bit of a mistake that, the moment she moved, Naruto gaze snapped to her with all the intensity of a hawk. And as for you, true to form, the agile fighter stiffened and sought to step back. At last she was too slow. Everyone else was when it came to Naruto. Strong arms closed around her slim form and drew her into a warm embrace. Her spine arched into his grasp, her eyes flickering rapidly as she struggled to understand what he'd done to her. No killing blow this, but something else altogether. Neil trembled along against him just so. Why, if Roman didn't know better, he would have sworn that she sniffled just now. Surely that was his imagination. Welcome to the family. Nope, not his imagination, not at all. Eh, Roman sputtered. Family? We're not related. She ain't my kid. Neil squirmed around in Naruto's arms to level a piercing glare at Roman. Irk, she had him there, didn't she? Something told him any denial on his part would lose him his living privileges. He needed those. The last thing he wanted was for her to get stabby happy again. For an angry Neil was a stabby Neil, and he had no desire to revisit that unholy horror. Ice blue eyes locked onto him. Did you take her in? Raise her? Roman wilted beneath their combined gaze. Well, yeah, I kinda did, but then she is my granddaughter. The blonde jutted out his chin. No objections, would you say, Neil? The little minx touched a finger to her chin and cocked her head to one side just so. Somehow that glance alone conveyed more meaning than words could. By the gods, Roman knew it all too well. Unfortunately for one Naruto Uzumaki, he did not. Heedless of the horror he just unleashed, he blew out a laugh and tousled her hair. Roman knew what was coming next. Sure, you can have whatever you want. Cake, ice cream, even oof. Naruto's words dissolved into a grunt as the petite girl slammed into him, wrapped both her arms around him as far as she could go, and buried her head in his stomach. All right. I'll make you a few cakes. Mercy, I need my ribs. Which leaves us with one last loose end, Raven interjected as she unsheathed her blade. Want me to take care of our little spy? That depends. The smile slipped from Naruto's face. Is he still there? Neil blinked up at him, and he patted her head. No, it's all right. We're not talking about the two of you. A muffled noise outside caught their attention. I'll deal with the rat. Just like that, the tension came flooding back. Neil disengaged herself from her grandfather, and wasn't that a trip? And reached for her weapon. Roman stumbled upright, mind a whirl as he fumbled for his cane. Spy? What spy? What were they on about? Surely they hadn't been followed here. Even Cinder wouldn't. Oh, who was he kidding? This was exactly the sort of thing she'd do. She didn't trust him enough to follow orders. Ergo, she'd send someone to tail him, to see if he'd succeeded, or to watch him die. Say, Roman. Naruto rolled his shoulders with an audible pop. I want you to watch what happens next. Watch very closely. He vanished in a golden flash before Roman could think to question him. This is how your old man fights.